morning, everybody. I'm Shane Brown. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for GT Medical Technologies, and I'm standing in for our CEO, Matt Likens, who wasn't able to make the trip. You could say I'm the relief pitcher today because he's not here. So thanks for lending us your ear. So in 27 years of helping to commercialize groundbreaking innovations in medical devices, I've never seen a patient population more in need of innovation than brain tumor patients. And that's the code that we're trying to crack right now. That's the puzzle that keeps us all going every day. The mission of the entire company is to improve the lives of patients with brain tumors. And if you can see here, this patient population, I've been involved with cardiology and structural heart and electrophysiology and cardiac rhythm and a lot of great innovative niches of the industry. You'll notice here, it's been over a decade before GammaTile came on board that there was actually another option for glioblastoma patients. And if you think about that, probably everybody in the audience knows somebody, a neighbor or a family member or a friend. We heard, my colleague Brian and I heard 2 different stories yesterday just in the networking events of people that were desperately looking for more solutions. If you think about, there's a big meta-analysis that was published about 3 months ago at Society of Neurosurgery. For glioblastoma patients, 1 in 2, 50% of those patients, their tumor starts recurring within 30 days of resection. Think about how frustrating that must be for that patient who just had their skull cracked open and to go through all the trauma and recovery of a resection and craniotomy to come back within the first month, let alone the family members that are taking care of everybody, let alone the clinicians that have to go back into clinic and say, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, I'm sorry, Mr. Franklin, we don't have any other good options for you right now. Your tumor's come back, and it's come back more severe than ever. That's what drives us. That's why we're here today, and it's a company full of mission-driven people. There's unfortunately over 200,000 patients every year that are diagnosed with brain tumors, and the current standard of care, which it's not a standard of care because the status quo has been so effective. It's just the standard of care because that's what it's been for 15, 20 years. And so the current standard is you have surgery, you have a resection. These highly skilled neurosurgeons are for 3, 4, 5-hour procedures digging out every little bit of a tumor out of the skull and all of the recovery that goes with that. So then you wait, and you wait, and you wait as a patient. 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks until the wound is healed and you're fully recovered so you can start the external beam radiation. If you think back to the last slide, over 50% of patients are coming back even within that time frame before they can start external beam radiation. So we say that we have to do better because the current standard of care is just not good enough. So what we do, it's called surgically targeted radiation therapy. And this, in the last couple minutes of the resection, so all the tumor is taken out before the skull plate is put back on, our tiny tiles, our GammaTiles they're called, are put to line the cavity of where the tumor used to be, and the radiation starts that second. You don't have to wait, the patient doesn't have to wait 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks out to start the radiation therapy. It starts right there. So instead of waiting for those 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, those cancerous cells are multiplying the entire time. So here, with a pretty good dose of radiation that starts immediately, it's automatic and that radiation starts right there, let alone compliance. You don't have to make sure that a patient comes back 3 or 4 weeks later, 5 days a week for external beam radiation. You know the radiation is happening whether they're coming back for their other treatments or not. Very little hair loss. And so we think that we're not only helping to extend people's lives, but we're also in a place where the quality of life is really improving. So in terms of hair loss, in terms of family members bringing people back and forth for 5, 6 week courses of radiation, every single day of the week, 5 days a week for all those time, this is a fantastic option and we're really proud to hear. The data on the bottom, our founder and inventor, Dr. Dave Brockman, was a radiation oncologist at the world-renowned Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. He and 4 of his colleagues got to the point where they said, we've seen enough. There's gotta be a better way. And they went through, and Dr. Brockman is now our chief technology officer. He designed an elegant solution to a really nasty problem. And that's what our product's doing right now. And what we saw throughout all histologies, so a meningioma, metastases, and certainly the glioblastoma, not only was the safety profile very similar for 96 patients and 108 tumors that were tracked in 96 patients at the time of invention, not only was that the right thing going on, but also the overall survival was fantastic for all of those histologies as well. So it was safe to introduce the radiation right away, and it was also very effective right away. So this is the actual product. We call it elegantly simple. Probably some of you have heard of brain brachytherapy. This is a similar, but this is several generations past that. So this is a 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter collagen tile that houses 4 cesium-131 seeds. And they're offset 3 millimeters away, so you have the hot side that is going towards where the cancerous cells are, while also being able, on the flip side of that, to take care of the margin that's right there. And so brain surgery is different from a lot of other surgeries because a maximal safe resection is the only thing you can really do. That means you can dig out the tumor, but not one little bit more than the tumor, because then you're getting into speech function and motor skills and walking and all these things. Unlike a prostate, unlike a breast, unlike a lot of areas in the body, anything that you're taking out of the brain that's not tumor, you're gonna really negatively impact that patient, and this buffer is really helpful within that. So this is what it looks like. Again, the last couple minutes of the resection, and the radiation is focused exactly where it needs to be. This picture on the left, you can see there's a good dosage exactly right around the tumor where it needs to be, unlike what's the current standard of care, external beam radiation, where the radiation is going through the brain and impacting structures and eloquent tissue outside of the tumor cavity itself. So commercially, we're doing pretty well. It's a commercial stage company. The company was pre-launch in 2019. They hired 6 people in the field. Brochures were ready, website was up, ready to launch in March of 2020. But the management team put together a fantastic launch plan, but obviously nobody foresaw all the hospitals and the pandemic, rolling in 1 week later after launch. So everybody instantly turned into kind of Zoom warriors, and we were able to start 16 accounts in the first commercial year. We're now up to, we last year made the right commercial decisions, and we tripled the sales team, we doubled the marketing department. We're seeing the ROI from that. You can see the names down there: Vanderbilt, Memorial Sloan Kettering, MD Anderson. We finished last year just over $12 million of sales, almost 90 centers so far, and about 900 patients in the commercial chapter, and we continue to grow. So University of Minnesota did the first procedure, and the reason I tell this story is the lady, Linda, she was a mother, and she wanted to live long enough to see her son graduate from high school. And everybody said, you don't really have many options right here. So she found GammaTile with Clark Chen at the University of Minnesota. She ended up making graduation, and she lived about a year longer than was expected. So I'm running close to time here. We have good data, and we're investing in a big way for further data. Our investments so far, we are fortunate enough to be led. Medtech venture partners jumped in with us very early on. Radu Kadis, Mara Aspinall from Bluestone jumped in after that, and so they've been very strong partners all the way along. MVM, led by Kyle Dempsey, jumped in for our Series B, and we're very glad to say that we just closed our Series C on Monday. Throughout all the banking craziness of the last couple of weeks and everything else in the macro environment, led by Gilda and Jeff Pardo, and a more than pro rata investment again by MVM and Kyle Dempsey, just another affirmation that we're doing some really good stuff, and we want to continue to do that. So here's the summary. We think we have applications outside of the brain, outside the body. We certainly have applications outside of the country. We continue to grow probably at a 50% pace here from here on out, and I'm really thankful that all of you spend a couple minutes listening. We'll be here for today and tomorrow. If anybody has any questions, reach out, and thank you very much.